Hi, welcome to another Golden Age report. Today we're going to kick off a new series on alliances and world power metric. So we're going to look at the Russian BRICS alliance today, and we're going to look at a couple of key factors, one being their world power rank. We're going to start off by using this global firepower as a source for our starting metrics, and we're going to update as we find out more. The thing that they're looking at on there is the military might, financials, logistical capability, and their geography. I'm going to look at some other factors as well, and I've already updated China and Russia's overall rank. If you see there, Russia is a 3 and China is a 2. Those two are swapped on their site out there. So the other thing we're going to look at also is the involvement level in the war, as I'm aware of. And we're going to continue to update this. Also look at digging deeper into other perspectives of involvement and the details of the rankings. So let's take a look here at Russia. As you're probably well aware of, they are fully involved, full-scale direct combat. We're giving them a 5 out of 5 stars as far as their involvement level. Second on the list here is Belarus. They're currently located as 52 as their overall world power rank, and we are giving them a 3 out of 5 stars in their involvement. This could change pretty quickly because of the buildup and the possibility that they could invade. Let's see, they've launched some strikes from their base. Russia has. They're also close economic partners. Russia actually has pretty tight control over them. There is some rumors that they've sent some troops. Belarus does have a large reserve, although their standing army is very small. So the third on our list here is Iran, really exploding recently. The news surrounding Iran, their involvement in the war, and just general turmoil, chaos in the region, and it looks like things are really heating up. And we're going to actually look at what's going on there in further details in another episode. They're currently ranked 14, which is pretty high. They've been a key weapons provider, providing the drones that have been so effective, and we're hearing that they're going to sending over some of their ballistic missiles and possibly some new drones. It looks like they're drawing closer to Russia every day. The next one we're going to look at here is Syria. So Syria is very close to Russia. They're only ranked 47 at this point. The war in Syria has really devastated and divided them, and they're cut off from their oil revenue. Actually, the U.S. is said to be controlling their section of the country that has the oil. They're fighting side by side in Syria right now against insurgents and other attacks that they're facing. Another country that their involvement is escalating as well. They're currently, this is North Korea. They're ranked 30 as a world power, but I'm thinking of that's probably going to be bumped up here in the near future. They've got quite an arsenal and a huge army. So their involvement right now, we're giving them 2 stars, and they're thought to be a weapon provider. They're being accused by the U.S. as providing weapons already. They're close economic partner. There's a rumor a while back that they were offering up 100,000 troops earlier in the war. Not sure if that's true, or maybe it was true and Putin probably didn't want them to send them over at that time because they probably didn't want things to escalate. But that is something to keep in the back of your mind because they definitely have a large army. So the other thing with North Korea is there's extreme tensions with South Korea and Japan, especially South Korea. Every day we're hearing about more ballistic missiles being fired, artillery shells being shot over the borders. So that's something we're probably going to dig deeper into that because I think that's a big factor, and it's going to become bigger as we move along here. The next one here is the big one here, China. And China's been fairly quiet, and they've tried to keep their ties with the West as much as they could. There's definitely some problems between the U.S. and China that are driving them towards Russia. It seems like the U.S. is kind of backing off on that a bit, but I don't think it's going to work too well because I think they're pretty stirred up and they're on a path of escalation themselves. But I think they want to avoid getting directly involved as long as they can, and hopefully we'll have some leadership changes that'll prevent that from happening. We gave them a 1.5 stars out of 5, and they are an economic partner. There's rumors that they previously sold drones to Russia early in the war, and those rumors are starting to come back that they're actively sending drones now. And China is considered to be the leader in drone technology. Also, there's word that they're sending chips, or it's thought that they're likely sending them chips. They have such a huge border, and that's one of the problems that Russia has is chips, although they do make some of their own. I'm sure that they probably need some shipped in. So the other factor with the China relation with Russia is Taiwan and the whole thing with Nancy Pelosi going in there and stirring things up even further. The U.S. really needs access to those Taiwan chips, as Taiwan produces like 90% of the highest tech chips out there. Now we got Brazil, Yeah, they haven't really been involved too much with, actually this is not correct here, so we'll go ahead and update that. So they haven't really been involved in the war directly, although they are a partner of Russia as far as economics is concerned. They're part of the BRICS. Brazil is ranked, surprisingly, ranked 10 on the world power list. They don't really get in too many skirmishes out there, so you don't hear too much about it, but they're definitely a world power. Next on the list might be a surprise to some. Some of you guys probably argue that this isn't true, but this is kind of where I see things going with India. India is ranked fourth on the index, and they're rising exponentially here. Although there's quite a bit of distance between India and Russia and China right now, but they are well positioned to rise up. Right now, they're both an economic partner for Russia and the BRICS, but they're also doing really well in the West as well. One of the reasons I have India even on here is their positions in favor of Russia and the UN, and some of their comments about the UN in general was that they didn't really feel like the UN was that trustworthy of an organization anymore, so that should tell us something there. Finally on this list is another surprise here, and you could even argue that they don't belong on there, but that would be Saudi Arabia, and I think they're trending that way, although they could easily move back the other way. I think the main problem they're having is with the current administration, and Biden in particular. They've really managed to do some things and say some things that really offend their allies. So one of the things to note is their action on the OPEC plus, where they sided with Russia on the oil, although they said that it was purely economic, which it may be, but just the way that the Biden administration talks to them and give them orders, they don't like that either. They came out and made a comment that they don't like dictate. They don't like to be dictated to, which kind of tells you the way that this Biden administration is going, dictatorship. Let's see, they are also rising pretty high in power. Just wanted to quickly update our Russian alliance chart before we get started. We bumped up both Belarus and Iran on our chart half a star. Belarus because they were mobilizing 50,000 troops and could possibly invade Kiev at any moment. Then Iran because of these surprising attacks that took place on U.S.-backed Kurds, both in Iraq and Syria the other night. And finally, we're just going to add Turkey over here for now, as they continue to trend that way. We know they're officially NATO, but it seems more and more like that won't be the case much longer. These attacks on U.S.-backed Kurds, along with the recent allegations that the U.S. was behind the latest terrorist attacks, was enough to add them here for now. At number 13 in the world power rankings, they are certainly a force to be reckoned with.